This is not a market for auction, or is it? Stay tuned to find out. Hi, Karen Worley, EVES Bay of Plenty General Manager. Hi, Grant.
Hi, Karen.
Grant
Back again.
Child is our National Auctioneer for EVES. Grant, I'm reading all this media at the moment about properties not selling under the hammer or a way less percentage, about people withdrawing their properties before auction, people saying that auction is not the method of sale to be used at the moment, except we've got some people who run very successful companies still endorsing auction. So I'm just really interested to know what you think, what you're seeing, and what you believe should be happening right now with regard to auction.
Good topic of discussion, especially in this market at the moment, because the market has changed so much. But you know, you and I have been around a long time. We've never seen the market change as quickly as what it's changing at the moment.
It's the rapid pace in which it changed.
Never seen before. And what that's actually causing, it's not just the auctions, it's causing frustration in the market. So vendors are getting frustrated because they're taking their property to the market and they're not identifying buyers as quick as what we were in the previous market. Buyers are getting frustrated because they've got so much to choose from out there, because you know, stock levels have at least doubled in what we used to have. So there's plenty of choices out there. Numbers of buyers actually active in the marketplace has diminished, so they've got lots of choices. And then what some of them are actually doing, not all of them, but some of them are actually reading into the media reports and predictions and all these anticipations of what's going to happen in the market. And a lot of them they're calculating a price 20% below because they're hearing about this, you know, 10, 15, 20% drop. So they're calculating there that it's happened already, and it actually hasn't. Presenting something to our sellers are saying, no, we're not going to sell for that. The buyers are getting frustrated as well. So it creates this massive frustration within the marketplace. And then sometimes what actually happens is when that frustration comes in, people start blaming the method of sale of why their property hasn't sold. But if you go from day 1 to day 30 with any method of sale and you don't receive an offer, is no different to going from day 1 to day 30 on an auction campaign and not getting a bid at the auction. But what we're also seeing at the auctions is a lot of the buyers, they've identified the property that they want, but they can't buy it at auction because banks are a lot more stringent now. They're wanting builders reports, LIM reports, all those sorts of things that cost money, and the buyers don't want to outlay for those, you know, in case they don't get the property, and without knowing that they're going to get the property, which is fair enough. So good idea for vendors to provide those builders reports and LIM reports. But the other thing is the banks are a lot slower in approving finances. Not just the banks, but any financial institutions are a lot slower. So that's slowing things down as well. So that's slowing the number of buyers that can actually put their hand up in the auction room. But what we're also seeing is that those buyers are still coming along to the auction or watching it via the live stream, and they are what I call first cab off the rank. The moment the auction is closed, we're seeing a lot of offers coming forward, and some of them, the salespeople have actually got the offers prepared, waiting to be signed to present to the vendors straight after the auction has been closed. So I guess this market, it really brings to the fore the success of auction is over the process, and a lot of people are making that judgment call on what actually happens at the auction, and they're considering it to be a failure because it hasn't had a bid or it hasn't sold. It's just a process, and the calling of the auction just gives the cash buyers the first crack at it. So why wouldn't a vendor go through that same period of time, that 30 days, and give themselves the opportunity of working with a cash buyer first, then work with the conditional buyer straight afterwards? That's where you're going to find your buyer in the shortest possible time frame, is if they're cashed up and ready to go. then work with them on auction day.
You're exactly right. And I think there's no doubt about some facts in the marketplace at the moment. So as you so rightly pointed out, listings doubled, or stock available doubled in the last 6 months, right? Yeah. The number of days to sell have increased because finance is much more difficult to get.
Yeah,
Lending
absolutely.
institutions are being far more vigilant about approving people. In fact, when they go to apply for money, the banks add a 2 or 3% increase to protect themselves on what our current rate is.
Yeah.
So there's, and they are very, very strict on personal spending.
Yeah.
So money is much harder to get. But like you, I've been in the auction room and I have seen that the vendors have been bought from the day that they came to the market to auction day. They've been brought right into the selling zone from feedback from people coming through the property, because people aren't comparing their property with a price. They're simply going in, becoming emotionally involved, loving the property, and then saying, now how much do I have to pay and can I afford it, right? And then immediately after the auction, if they're not in an unconditional position, then we go straight into contract.
Absolutely.
And I'm seeing that every week. So, but unfortunately, the experts in the marketplace are judging auction by auction day.
And it's really interesting is when the market changes, everybody becomes experts in real estate.
Oh.
It's we've experienced this year
after year after
decade
year.
after decade. It's just
okay, that's enough.
But I think the key to the point that we're trying to get across here, Karen, is focus on identifying the property that you want. Whether it be an investment, it's going to give you the right returns, whether it be a home, your family home, focus on the house, the property and the home that you actually want. I mentioned the word house, so I actually hate that. They're not houses, they're homes.
They are homes.
And just, if you focus on the emotional aspect of it and what it's going to provide for you and your family or your business if you're investors, then focus on the price. Leave the price out of it until such time as you identify the one that you actually want, and then explore your options, do your homework. We can help with statistics and that sort of thing. Mind you, statistics are going out of date pretty quickly at the moment.
Yes, they are.
And what we're also seeing is we're seeing a lot of vendors that are hanging out for their price, but what's actually happening is they finish up starting to chase the market down because
that's right.
Without doubt it is declining. So
no question about that. And that's a very good point that you raised right there, is that a vendor comes onto the market and then they get told, reduce your price, reduce your price, reduce your price. In the meantime, the bracket of buyers that would have bought their property at the current market price have gone. So you're right, they chase the market down.
And we've seen in the last 6 weeks, I've seen some vendors that turned what we considered to be fair market value. It was aligned with all the feedback that we had. They turned it down on auction day, and 6 weeks later they've sold for $200,000 less.
Wow.
So that's how quickly the market's moving. So it's willing buyer, willing seller, and when you're working to sell your property, you've got to be in the market, not on the market. And if you don't sell on auction day, you've got to price it to sell it, not to start negotiations.
Correct.
And that's what often a lot of people make the mistake. They add extra on to allow for negotiations, is price it to sell it, not to start negotiations.
Great advice. So if you are contemplating buying or selling, no matter whether it be auction or any other method of sale, then we'd be really happy to talk to you. Thanks very much for listening. We look forward to catching up next time.